Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to it is episode 164 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon here with you, along, of course, with my brother Aaron.
What's up, everyone?
And the third amigo, Mr. Archie Mitchell.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back.
Yes, we missed you last week when we went through some of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 from the first one, ladies and gentlemen, from 1990. Well, 1991, I guess. It's not 1990. It's 1991. But anyway, regardless, we're having fun going through this show and are going through this list, just reminiscing, talking about some of the great stars or not so great stars.
Yeah, we're not over 400 yet, are we?
No, we're not. We're going to be starting with 363 today.
We're not talking about the good people.
Not yet. We're like probably 50, 55 away from getting into anybody that mattered at this time.
Yeah, pretty much. Before we get started, is there anything you guys want to discuss real quick? I don't really have anything other than this list this week, so.
Not me, Aaron.
Just that I don't think Ric Flair should wrestle again. This is a bad idea.
I agree.
I know they're doing some kind of tag match, but this is a bad idea.
I agree that it's a bad idea. I think, let him do what he wants to do.
I know.
If he wants to do it, let him do it. I guess, yeah. I mean, and I agree with you though. I've said it on the show before. To me, Ric Flair's career ended at WrestleMania 24. Like,
right.
I don't watch any of the stuff that when he fucked around in Impact and all that stuff. He retired in 2008 in that great match with Shawn Michaels. That's how I want to remember Ric Flair going.
Right.
Out. Yeah.
Right.
And the only thing I'll say to it too is like Conrad Thompson didn't say what the conversation was because he said he respects Ricky Steamboat, but Ricky Steamboat was asked to do that and was like, nope, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, he said there's no way I'm coming out of retirement to wrestle Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I don't think it's the fact that I don't want to come out of retirement. I think it's the fact of I'm not going to be the guy that breaks Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at this point,
you're fucking 76 years old.
At this point, I can't say I don't think that it is an exaggeration or dramatic to say that I fear the man could die in the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think that's an exaggeration. And
no,
maybe he wants to. I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe he wants to. It's Flair. He's fucking wrestling is his life. He's crazy. And yeah. And
everybody here has seen the movie The Wrestler with
Mickey Rourke.
Ricky Rourke, right? That movie was sad at the ending. That last 30 minutes of him trying to get together for his next match and knowing what was going to happen and everything. That was a movie, though. It was a dramatization. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to see Ric Flair do that. You know what I mean? Right. The last thing we want to see is Ric Flair on the mat, breathing heavy, and them having to defibrillate him in the ring and rush him to the hospital. And the next day you hear, well, folks, we're sorry to hear the report that Ric Flair has passed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm sure his children don't want to hear that. Or his grandkids. So maybe he needs to think about his family a little more than his ego, because he's saying he's not doing this for the money and he's only doing it for the glory and the ego. What more could the guy do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I guess the only other, and we won't spend too much time on it because I want to get. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say one thing, okay, about the dying in the ring thing. He's Flair 76, right?
Yes.
And they're saying he's trained
73,
something like that.
Okay, I think he's 73.
Anyway, he's fucking ancient, and he's saying like, "Oh, he's training, he's doing this, he's doing that." Perro Aguero Jr. was 35 years old,
right,
and took a simple ass bump, and was just half a step off and fucking died.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
a 35-year-old man. So
right.
I just think it's a terrible idea.
I agree.
The only other two things I'll bring up just really quick, because I really don't want to spend too much time on anything other than this. But since we're here and we're talking about it, first of all, how crazy is it that now the only McMahon in the WWE is Vince?
Right.
Right. That's
Well,
kind of nuts.
You just took an LOA, didn't she?
I don't think that's what it is, brother. I think that's the corporate thing.
Right.
But I don't know. I think they're stepping away. I think this Nick Khan dude, when Vince croaks, this Nick Khan guy is going to be, because WWE isn't a family business anymore. It's a corporation.
Nope. It's a corporation, exactly. Triple H supposedly came back, and his duties are not as heavy duty as they were once back in the day. He's not got the same role. Stephanie took some time off to go home. Shane got fired.
I think it's
got
just
a feeling we might see a hostile takeover, Nick. Reminiscent of what he did to his father all those years ago by just buying up stock and then all of a sudden saying, "Hey, I own the company now." You know what I mean?
My perception, Archie, is that I think what has happened is that Nick Khan has gotten super close to Vince.
Oh yeah.
And the other people are kind of getting not pushed out, but pushed out. Like they're making the decision to not be there or not be as involved as they were because of that situation. I think that's what has happened.
Well, I think you're right about that. I think Nick Khan is becoming. Remember David Spade on Saturday Night Live, the asshole secretary.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not having a good day today. Here, I'll just take that paperwork, and then he would pretend like he did it.
Yeah.
And that guy. I think Nick Khan is a lot like that behind the scenes. Like, oh, Vince is having a bad day. Nobody talked to him. But then he goes back to Vince. Is like, no, I can't believe it. No one's talked to you today, Vince. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's causing a strife in the company, in the family. And I'll be honest with you, I think his name is perfect for him, Nick Khan. He seems like one of the biggest con men in the business because I don't think he knows what it is to be in the wrestling business, but he knows what it's like to run a company. So he's looking at more of as like you said, a corporate structure.
These cons in pro wrestling, I'm telling you, you got the con in the WWE, and then the con in AEW that just thinks of apparently pro wrestlers as his live action figures.
Right,
but
exactly.
It is what it is, and that's that.
My
for
favorite
that.
con in wrestling history is Paul Heyman.
I don't know. These guys might be surpassing Paul Heyman.
All right, well, let's get into it. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated from 1991, the first ever. Last week we left off with 364. It was Ricky Nelson. So now we move on to 363. The Cuban Assassin, Fidel Sierra. 6'1", 246, 12 years pro, veteran from Havana, recently returned to the U.S. Now competing in the GWF, has competed in every major federation, trains aspiring grapplers in his spare time. I remember the Cuban Assassin as the jobber to the stars in WCW, like the 90s Clash of the Champions days. Yeah, like he'd fight Ranger Ross.
That's a name I ain't heard in a long time. No, I agree. I remember him as that. I remember him in GWF. He had a tag team partner. I believe they were known as the Cuban Assassins or something like that.
Something to that effect, yeah.
And I remember him. I remember him in WCW as well. And I think he might have made one or two WWF appearances as well as a jobber.
Yeah, I think in the WWF he was Fidel Sierra, I believe. I don't think they ever called him the Cuban Assassin, but
right. So I do remember the name. I remember him very well. Big burly looking guy who never smiled.
Good hand.
Very angry. Good hand, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on the Cuban Assassin, Aaron?
Yeah, just not really.
All right, then we will move on to 362. It is Bone Crusher. 6'3", 290, 4 years pro, motorcycle-loving street fighter, teams with Crowbar as the Barroom Brawlers. Duo captured the USWA tag titles from Robert Fuller and Jeff Jarrett.
I don't remember that name.
That's the highlight. That's the highlight of that guy's. He still talks about that. If he still lives in Memphis,
he's at the bar. I beat Jeff Jarrett
and Robert Fuller. Me, goddamn, I'm the Bone Crusher. they're like, your tab's $50 there, buddy. And he's like, you don't know who I am? I'm the Bone Crusher.
I was part of the Ballroom Brawlers.
And they're like, yeah, fuck off.
Number 361, the Botswana Beast.
What?
5'10", 366, 4 years pro. Crazed jungle denizen is straight from the Kamala School of Bite, Punch, and Kick. Began career in Georgia, currently competing in Japan. Vile creature. This is Kamala number 2, isn't it?
Probably.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. It was. I don't know how to put it. Like he to describe him to those of you that don't know, that didn't pay attention at this time or whatever. He was like if he got Kamala on Wish.
Right.
Pretty much. Like he was a little shorter than Kamala, and just not as good. Not as good as Kamala. Number 360, Boris Zukov, 6'2", 254, 7 years pro. Feared Russian import, has been part of 2 successful tag teams. Won the AWA title with Soldat Unisov in 1987 and later teamed with Nikolai Volkov. Has a huge head. I love that that's
is that really in the description?
Yes, it is. Has a huge head.
Has a huge head.
8 and 38, 8 and 818, or whatever Jim Ross would say about Albert.
Yeah, Jim Nelson. I mean, he was part of Slaughter Corps and all that. And I read an interview with him one time, and he tried to say, I was the one guy that Vince McMahon wouldn't let go. That's what he tried to say. He said he wanted to leave, and Vince was like, no.
We need Boris Zukov.
It's like, I doubt that's true. I'm not knocking the guy.
Right. No.
Right.
But I don't think that was the case.
I remember
I never really had a problem with Boris Zukov.
No, but I do remember like back in the day when I was a kid or a teenager or whatever, or mainly a kid, you always knew that the Bolsheviks were gonna beat the enhancement guys. Or at that time, Aaron, do you remember what we called them? The enhancement guys?
Nobodies.
That's what me and Aaron called them. They're fighting some nobodies.
Nobody.
But anyway, you always knew that the Bolsheviks were going to beat the nobodies. But if the Hart Foundation came out to wrestle them or anybody else, they were going to lose.
In 90 seconds.
Yes. Number 359 is Killer Tim Brooks. 6 foot tall, 285, 24 years pro. Barroom Brawler just keeps going. Still competing on independent cards in Texas. Hasn't lost any of his renowned rule-breaking prowess. Cigar chomper. What do you guys think of Killer Tim Brooks?
I enjoyed some of his work. I mean, I can't say I've seen all of it, but definitely somebody that I could say was decent in the ring.
I can't speak much to him, to be honest with you. He was a Texas guy, wasn't he?
And to be honest, by the time that there's, what do I want to say? By the time that there's footage of him that I've seen, like the late days of World Class,
right,
where he's just kind of out there bumping for the Von Erichs or whatever, he was fine, but I guess I didn't get the appeal. I mean, at this point, it's 90, 91. He's 24 years pro. Maybe in the 70s, he was fucking a kick-ass heel. I don't know.
Like people that or that were alive and watched wrestling at that time, they always speak of him, and I never really wrestling. Like people in the wrestling business are always like, "Hey, Killer Tim Brooks, he was good."
Mm-hmm.
Chad said he had a beer with a guy that looked like him at the bar.
He said he was Tim Brooks. I didn't question it.
I was going to respond to that message, and I forgot because I was going to respond to Chad because Chad said that he saw a guy, Killer Tim Brooks, at the bar, and Aaron said he saw a lady that looked like Bobby Eaton.
Oh my God!
And I was gonna respond to that, Aaron. I was gonna be like, man, in the town that I work in, all I ever see are Bubba Ray Dudleys and Paul Bears. Number 358, one of Aaron's favorites. Jimmy Valiant, 6'3", 251, 21 years pro. The Boogie Woogie Man competes only occasionally these days. has had many images through the years, won the WWF World Tag Team title with Brother Johnny in 1974.
Did anybody hear in the background Aaron go, It was just so subtle.
Mercy, Daddy, mercy.
That dude is, I don't know. I've never gotten it. I've never been into it. It just, I understand that he's a personality and everything like that, but it's fucking annoying to me. Like Boogie Woogie Man is fucking, it's not funny to me. It's fucking annoying. And like the only thing I ever watched Jimmy Valiant do that I enjoyed was when he was at a fucking autograph convention or whatever you want to call it in Fort Wayne. And this was a couple years ago, and there was a Dippin' Dot stand, and Valiant was looking at the Dippin' Dot stand, not knowing anybody was looking at him, like fingering his beard, like deciding if he wanted to buy Dippin' Dots. Like that's the only thing I've ever enjoyed watching that man do.
Did he get him?
Fucking surreal.
Did he get his Dippin' Dots?
No.
No.
This is the same night that as Nate and I were leaving, we got to watch Glacier and the Rock and Roll Express share a beer together.
Nice.
Aaron,
Huh.
I know this used to be your gimmick and I complain about it, but this one's for you.
Yeah.
All right. And that's also another thing about Valiant is not only another thing that's annoying about him is he has one of the worst overdub musics on the network. It's like, oh, like you can never even hear anything anybody's saying, and yeah, it's terrible. But anyway,
The fucking, we were in Nam together.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting on the fucking street or whatever, and Big Mama finds him. It's like, what the fuck?
What's going on?
If you want to watch the worst pre-taped major angle segment ever in the history of professional fucking wrestling, somebody was like, go with it. That's perfect. Put it on TV. Big Mama finding Jimmy Valiant in the fucking gutter. It's fucking trash. God, and how long did he feud with fucking Paul Jones?
Oh God.
Jesus Christ. Like the end up, that's one thing that Dusty Rhodes did. He was like, I got this collection of fuck. We're just gonna put it all together in one segment. One angle.
God,
I don't want this stank and this stank to get on anything that's
didn't I mean they feuded they started their feud when they was still on Mid-Atlantic, didn't they?
I maybe
83 or some shit that didn't end till like 87.
Feuded for it was fucking horrible. It was like Raven and Tommy if it was bad.
Right.
Number 357 is Texas Ranger. 6'3", 281-year pro, muscular newcomer has exploded onto the USWA scene, but his identity is a well-guarded secret. It's Chuck North. Style is strictly power, hides face under mask and hat.
Hat.
Walker,
And
Texas
hat.
Ranger.
Why has he got his face? Why has he got his hat over his face? It's like your hat goes on your head, dumbass.
Only old school wrestling fans will know this when I say it. I've never seen an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger in its entirety, but I know what the end of every Walker, Texas Ranger episode ever is because it came on right before Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
And there it was. I saw the end of every episode of Walker, Texas Ranger, but I never saw a full episode.
If you want to see the greatness of Walker, Texas Ranger, you just watch Conan O'Brien when he wound up on NBC.
Yeah,
because he got to
get into the library,
and he did the Walker Texas Ranger lever, and it just random scene from Walker Texas Ranger. Best one is Haley Joe Osmond. He's on there, and they're like, "How are you doing?" And everybody's like kind of being nice to him. And Haley Joe Osmond's on there, and he's like a little kid, They're like, "How are you doing, boy?" or whatever. And the guy, Haley Joe Osmond's character, looks at him and is like, "Don't worry, Walker told me I have AIDS.
Oh God!
Jesus. I'm about to be dead, people.
I'm about to be dead, people. Oh my God, Nate. No, the only thing I know of Texas Ranger or Walker Texas Ranger is the part in Talladega Nights. We named him Walker and Texas Ranger. If we wanted him to be sissies, we named him Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman. That's as far as I go with Walker Texas Ranger. To Nate's credit, though, he's right. I did know every ending to that movie.
Yes.
So
Number 3.
Hopped up on Mountain Dew. You're like a spider monkey.
Yep.
356 is Tom Davis, 5'10", 243, 8 years pro, grizzled vet, has now joined his older brother Mike Davis as the Dirty Davis Brothers. Fireplug-like build gives him low center of gravity, formerly competed in the USWA.
Did they basically say he was fat there? Low center of gravity?
Low center of gravity, yeah. Well, I think if I remember correctly, he was kind of built like Dick the Bruiser.
Right.
Big ass, buggy whip legs.
Barrel chest. Number 355, Black Bart, 6'4", 261, 11 years pro. Don't laugh at this Texan. Most fans think of Big Bart as a preliminary competitor, but he's had vast success, a former world-class champion, manic brawler. When I was a kid, Black Bart was just a jobber in the WWF. He was just a nobody in the WWF.
Right.
Obviously, like they said, he was the world-class champion, which is probably the worst decision world-class ever made. I was never a big fan of Black Bart.
No, neither was I.
And he's involved in probably the second worst thing any promotion's ever done, and that was the Desperados segments. Yep. Good Lord.
Number 354, Hurricane Walker, 5'10", 223, 2 years pro. Florida favorite as a scientific marvel. Thrills fans with his limber mat style. Battles with Jim Backlund in the PWF are local classics. Bright future. PWF was the promotion that Dusty started when he left the NWA before he went to the WWF. And then it existed after he left, pretty much. But Hurricane Walker, don't know. I know Jim Backlund is Jimmy Del Rey.
I know his brother, hard work Bobby Walker. But I don't know Hurricane Walker.
Then they had that cousin Paul.
Yeah.
Died in a car crash.
God rest his soul. He was definitely family.
Number 353, Jim Backlund. 5'11".
Really? They were that close together. They were
yes.
The number of each other.
5'11", 220.
They're the only two that they've only wrestled each other all year.
Right.
So.
Right.
6 years pro, one of the finest light heavyweights in the U.S., has held the Florida junior heavyweight title on numerous occasions, fluctuates between science and brawling. Jimmy Del Rey. Jimmy Del Rey is a guy. Yes, I was going to say Jimmy Del Rey is a guy that actually just fell victim to his physique and look.
Also, I heard that he was kind of a fucking wild card creep out of the like on the road. He wasn't the best citizen, I should say. Like whatever I think I've told that story before, that whatever he did in that hotel room got Tatanka fired for 5 months. And Tatanka was like, he left. Like he was like, I'm out. Like we gotta let you go for a little bit too. Like wrestlers won't even say what happened in that room. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
And he's also like Nate, we've talked about how it was weird that they had the Powers of Pain become the super assassins or whatever in WCW.
Yeah.
Why did WCW change him?
To Johnny Graffiti.
Yeah, to Johnny Graffiti.
Jimmy Graffiti.
Jimmy Graffiti, sorry. Jimmy Graffiti.
And I mean, you can clearly tell it was Jimmy Del Rey just with a shaved face and a haircut, and they put some street clothes on him. That was the worst part.
Hey, he looked like he wanted to be a nasty boy.
Yeah.
Why not just have him be Jimmy Del Rey?
Right. But yeah, like I said, I thought he was a great worker, and him and Tom Pritchard have a underrated their version of the Heavenly Bodies was an underrated tag team.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I actually like their version of the Heavenly Bodies better than Dr. Tom and Stan. Because to me, the Heavenly Bodies gimmick was they weren't Heavenly Bodies.
Right.
They're really good wrestlers, don't get me wrong, but they're skeezy. You know what I mean? Like they think they're the Heavenly Bodies. But really, it's like, you're portly and hairy.
Stop gyrating.
Yeah. Like I don't want the gigolo to be
I don't want the gigolo to be jiggling.
Well, no. In wrestling, I don't want the guy that calls himself the gigolo to be an attractive man. I want it to be this guy that thinks he's an attractive man. You know what I mean? Like there should only be one. There should only be one heel that is like a Rick Rude. It's like I can take your woman, whatever, and that should be that guy's gimmick. But anybody else is just like I'm the sexiest man alive. It's like nope,
you are not, sir.
You are not.
Whoever told you that was lying. They are a liar.
Number 352 is Scott Armstrong, 6'1", 212, 8 years pro, son of Bullet Bob Armstrong and brother of Brad and Steve. Not as strong or high-flying as his brothers, but boasts an amalgam of skills. Wondrous mat ability. Scott Armstrong, great wrestler. What else can you say?
There's not a bad wrestler in the Armstrong family.
I agree.
And I know people do whatever they want to say about Brian, but I don't think Brian was a capable wrestler, but he was bigger than all of them and had more personality, and that's what got him there. But Scott was good, and I also have heard that Scott Armstrong had a good like behind the scenes type mind. Stuff. Yeah. And he was actually a really good referee too.
Yeah.
I hope we get to talk about his brother.
I'm sure we will.
Steve, I'll wait until we get to talk about him. Sorry.
Number 351, Terry Daniels, 5'8", 223, 7 years pro, charter member of Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Corps, is on his own now. Dynamic light heavyweight, recently left the USWA to compete in the new global area. Terry Daniels, Private Terry Daniels. He was great with Slaughter. And as we mentioned earlier, Boris Zukov.
Yeah. I don't know why they never did a little Cobra Corps thing in W. Well, maybe they did.
When they didn't do the Cobra Corps in WWF, but if you remember like in the 84 on TNT, they brought Terry Daniels in. Like they had him in the whole like Navy regalia.
But they were baby faces, weren't they?
He was. Yes. They didn't even it's funny because they never even hooked him up with Slaughter on TV. He talked about being part of Slaughter's Cobra Corps, but they never even appeared together on television. So I don't know what the deal. I don't know if Slaughter got shit canned before they got a chance to do that or what, but I'd have to look at the timeline. But yeah, he was a good little worker.
Kind of like Jim Nelson. Boris Zukov.
350, Mike Winner, 5'10", 234, 1 year pro. Started career in Georgia All-Star Wrestling, has gone on to great success in the Pacific Northwest. Boyish enthusiasm has made him a favorite, a pure talent. I have seen the name a million times. I don't know
the name sounds really familiar, but
I don't know who he is. I don't
know either. I know he kept healthy and trim because he exclusively had chicken dinner. Winner, chicken dinner over here.
Ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Number 349, Kevin Kelly, 6'5", 271, 6 years pro. Not the broadcaster.
Yeah, I was about to ask the broadcaster.
Competed in the WWF several months ago, but has been AWOL since. Tore up AWA 5 years ago. Managed then by Sherry Martel. Greek god physique. And we all know Kevin Kelly will go on to become Nails.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In a couple of years,
Right.
supposedly Vince is going to try to rape him.
Right. Right.
Yes,
And then
know
he'll
that,
end up. Then
Yep.
he'll end up in WCW as the convict
The Convict.
One match.
because for some reason WCW's idea was to take people that we knew and give them a worse name. Like the Big Boss Man was just the boss.
The Boss. The Guardian
Wow.
Angel. Oof.
The Guardian Angel. Yeah, that was bad.
That was rough.
That referee right there wasn't supposed to be in that ring. When he snaps or whatever.
We got a bicycle.
Yeah, bicycle.
Bicycle.
348. Jason the Terrible. 6'7", 302, 7 years pro. There's another grappler in a hockey mask running around Canada, but we're not sure if it's the original Jason. Uses hard plastic to batter opponents.
I don't know. That was
Running around Canada.
another
in a
mask.
hockey mask.
There's another wrestler. There's another hockey mask wrestler running around Canada. I guess the fucking epidemic.
347. Tugboat Taylor, 6'1", 320, 8 years pro, veteran brawler, has competed all over the country. Prides himself on being the original Tugboat. Uses bulk and crushing corner smashes. Now in the GWF. And that's where I remember Tugboat Taylor from.
Yeah.
Was watching Global
It was
on ESPN.
very.
What
His
I
son
never-
was Chaz.
Yeah, his son was Chaz. Now, what I never got about Tugboat Taylor was his entire time as a face. He was a great face in the GWF. Brown hair, brown beard. His son was involved in that, atrocious bungee jump match. And then he turned heel, and his answer to turning heel was, "I'm going to go bleach blonde, but leave everything else on me black."
Yes, he
You
looked
know what I
weird.
mean? He was a weird bleach blonde with his tubby body, no shirt. He wrestled in underwear, and it was just like, this is weird. I don't
Is that,
need this.
is that superstar Billy Graham crackers? what is going on here?
But yeah, he was a compact, fat little wrestler,
Yeah.
and for how do I say it? For the area that he was in and what he did, he was a homesteader, and he would have never. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, especially I think he's dead now, but he would have never been anything if he would have went to like WWF or WCW.
No.
So,
But for a smaller promotion like Global, he was fine.
Yeah, he was definitely fun. The one thing I never understood about him, guys, though, his finisher. Do you guys remember what his finisher was?
I do not.
Okay. He used to pick them up like he was going to body slam them, but then he would drop to his knees and then roll them onto the canvas. Like the shock of him dropping to his knees was enough to incapacitate his opponents.
No, look,
Never got that.
it's the mediocre slam from Tugboat Taylor.
Exactly. No, I like this one though. Chaz was cool up until they did the bungee jump match. That made no sense to me. Yeah.
And that guy, I mean, I don't know. At that time, I don't deep in the weeds on Chaz Taylor, but I thought he was going to be something.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of, after GWF folded up, so did he, I guess.
Other guys who he was higher on the card than actually made it, because if you look at it, he was higher on the card than Lightning Kid and Johnny Polo and guys, you know what I mean, guys like that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he was Raven and 1, 2, 3 Kid, and everybody. I always wondered as a kid, like, where's Chaz?
Where did he ever? Yeah, whatever happened to him?
Well, I think Tug also had some pole.
Maybe.
Tug had some pull.
Tug had some pull.
Number 346, Mike Jackson. 5'10", 222, 13 years pro. Years come and go, but Mighty Mike remains the Alabama junior heavyweight champion, famous for his WCW appearances, struggles against bigger men.
He held that belt longer than Moolah held the
right. I think he still holds it.
He still fucking works. Like right before the pandemic, I know you guys don't watch live, but right before the pandemic, on Impact, he had a match with fucking Johnny Swinger, and it was fantastic. Like fantastic. He walked two sets of the he walked two sides of the ropes. It was insane. And I mean he's like an old man now. Like he looks like an old man. Like it's not like I'm saying like he was never like ripped or anything like that. But he can still fucking go.
And he was great.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say you watch the old Mid Atlantic and then World Championship Wrestling shows. He was a fantastic enhancement talent.
Yeah, and you owe it to yourself to find fucking Mike Jackson versus Johnny Swinger. It's great.
Archie, anything on Mike Jackson?
I didn't even know he was still wrestling, to be honest. Aaron just told me something that now I want to go watch. I can't say I saw a lot of his work in the past, but, you know, decent wrestler, decent, like you said, a decent enhancement talent.
345 is Barrio, 6'2", 230, 11 years pro, younger brother of Cowboy Bob Orton and son of legendary Bob Orton Sr., competed in the WWF for years, but announcers never disclosed he was an Orton from Las Vegas. And in the next year or so, he is going to hit the news for other reasons in professional wrestling because he's one of the guys that pops the lid on the WWF sex scandals.
Now, he was in that we did a review show on the show before WrestleMania a few months ago, a while back, actually. And he was in one of the matches, and we actually said it was actually one of the better matches on the card. Because they actually let them have 10 or 12 minutes versus everybody else being in a fast-forward machine of a 5-minute match.
Right.
Mario was good. He got himself blackballed.
Right.
And I say to this day that other than Pat Patterson being lumped into it, I don't think any of those people were lying.
No, I don't think so either. Nobody had.
Go ahead, sorry.
Nobody had anything to gain back then to come out with those kind of, it's not like today where maybe they got something to gain from it. Back then it was just they said it because it was true.
But I agree. I agree.
Think Patterson was molesting people or trying to or anything like that.
That's what I was going to say. I agree with Aaron. I think that
he got
lumped into it because he was gay.
And he was gay at a time when it wasn't the most acceptable thing in the world.
And it made him an easy target.
And I think, honestly, Vince knew that. And that's probably why Vince was like, you got to go away. Mm-hmm. Like let these guys get whatever happens to them. But you got to go away. Not because I don't like it. I don't think it was you got to go away because I don't want you around. I think it's like you got to go away because I want you around. You know what I mean?
Yep. You got to be like what's the expression? Go away till the heat dies down or whatever.
Right.
Kind of like when Michael shoots the fucking mob dude and the fucking cop in Godfather. He's got to go to fucking Italy for like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to get out.
Right. I'm sending you away, but I promise I will bring you home very soon.
You will come back and you will be in power again.
Number 344, Tiger Conway Jr., 6 foot, 229, 13 years pro, has fluctuated between fan favorite and rule breaker, which is something his father never did. The current Texas All-Pro champion, former Jive Tone. I'm not a big fan of Tiger Conway Jr. He teamed up with Pez Whatley as the Jive Tones, but just not a fan.
He was basic.
Number 343 is Festus.
Who?
5'11", not Carl Anderson, not Luke Gallows. No,
Carl Anderson.
Yeah, Carl Anderson.
So there was he totally killed Carl Anderson.
Not Carl Anderson either, but
no. So wait, there was a Festus before the Festus in the 2000s.
Yeah, he was 5'11", 236, 5 years pro, scuffling hillbilly from the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia. Scientific ability, you won't find it here. He's just a good old boy looking for a good hard fight.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have no idea who this is, but it's not Gallows or Anderson.
Festus 2 is awesome, though.
Yes, Festus 2 is very awesome. He had a thing for biscuits and gravy.
They made him a man.
Yeah.
Number 342, Mike Sampson, 6'1", 235, 4 years pro, currently teams with GQ Stratus as IWCCW Tag Champions, the $1 Billion Babies.
Yeah, we already talked about GQ Stratus, didn't we?
Yeah, it's Trish's dad.
Trish's dad.
Managed
really?
by Kevin. No.
You got
In
me
no
going,
way,
like, really?
no way, shape, or form.
I missed 1 week, and then get me going, guys. You see this?
Number 341, Sean Simpson, 5'9", 200, 5 years pro. Brother of the popular Steve Simpson, was an immediate sensation after making his U.S. debut in 1986, among the smallest pros, but makes up for it with agility. I am actually a fan of the Simpson brothers. In the latter days of world class, they brought them in. They're from Australia. Their dad was a wrestler in Australia. And I actually really like Steve and Sean Simpson. I thought they were a good tag team and maybe could have made it in WWF or WCW. But apparently what happened, I was reading about it one day because I was watching some World Class. And I was like, whatever happened to those guys? Apparently, eventually they told Fritz to fuck off and they went back to Australia. But I thought they were good.
That's they could have had some kind of career. I don't know if they would have been multi-time champions, but they definitely could have put on some good matches in the WWF.
Number 340 at this point is an ancient old fart. Good old Bulldog Bob Brown. 6 foot 245 in 1991, 33 years pro. The Bulldog still has his bark. Flat top gap tooth vet still competes with this. I don't know why that description made me laugh so much. You flat top gap tooth vet.
Sounds like an insult.
I know.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Sometimes teams with his son, Kerry Brown. But anyway, old Bulldog Bob Brown. I don't have a lot to say there. Anything I've ever seen from him was like a goddamn glacier.
He was responsible for training a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like he ran the second Stampede. Like basically when Stu stopped being in the dungeon, like so it was like that class that had like Lance Storm and Chris Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he had a hand in training Jackal, like. But they said that he ran the school like he just read from, because Stu had written a book about training wrestlers, so he literally just like trained these guys from the text of Stu Hart's book. Like Jericho was like,
you go into wrestling school and he's like, open your book to page 302.
It's like, oh, you're gonna get trained by the Hearts. You're gonna get trained out of the Hearts, and like Jericho was like, oh, I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna get trained by the Hearts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like he's like, Keith was there like one day, beat the shit out of all of them, and then was like, here's Bob, and then just, and it was Bob Brown the rest of the time.
He's like, Bob Brown's gonna be here to train you, and everybody's like, humping around Bobby Brown.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you?
That's my prerogative.
Where's Brett? Where's Owen?
Number 339, Les Thornton. 5'9", 238, 19 years pro. British star, is among the finest light heavyweights ever. Has held the NWA and WWF junior titles. Recently returned to action in Canada. Man of 1,000 holds.
Good wrestler.
Absolutely.
Les Thornton. And I think kind of what you were saying about like build wise on some guys and shit. Like that's probably the thing that hurt him like over here. But I'll watch shit from him in I don't say shit. I don't mean it like disparaging. I'm just saying like I like watching like British wrestling, like the round system from like the 70s and the 80s, and he's on there. It's fucking good shit. And I think he's the one that Brett said that him and Les were having a match, and he stole the finish of their match. Well, he didn't really steal because he was in the match, but he borrowed the finish of that match for the finish that he had with Davey at SummerSlam. Because Brett said he used to write down all of his finishes in a notebook, and was like going, "Oh, how can I end this with Davey? Where we both like I don't look like shit." And you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
I don't look like a loser. I don't look like a loser, but Davey doesn't look like a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he picked up that finish, and he said Les is the one that came up with that finish when they had that match. So essentially he booked the finish of Bret Hart versus Davey Boy at SummerSlam.
Number 338, Psycho.
I think he also was the guy that teamed with Mick when the Bulldogs broke when Dynamite broke his fucking jaw.
Was
it?
Was
I'm
it hit?
pretty sure.
Okay, now which Les was that? Was it Les Thornton or Les Thatcher?
It wasn't Les Thatcher.
All right, then
I'm gonna look it up, but you can talk.
Right.
I'm gonna look it up.
Number 338 is Psycho, 6'1", 263, 7 years pro, Texas Hangman mainstay, along with Killer. Duo comprised a great team, recently held the USWA Tag Team Championships. Brutal as they come, DQ'd often for using the noose. We saw these guys when we watched the AWF or the AWF stuff.
It was, by the way. Sorry.
It was Les Thornton.
Yeah. Like I have a feeling that Les Thornton was trying to be like, Mick, stop. Like, don't tell these guys what you're gonna do.
Number 337, Joey Maggs.
Jumpin' Joey Maggs.
Jumpin' Joey, 6 foot 233, 4 years pro. Who is Maggs these days? Changed his name to Magliano and joined Eddie Gilbert's rule-breaking Memphis Mafia in 1990. Recently was back as Maggs in WCW. He was, to me, in my mind, he's just a WCW enhancement guy.
Yeah. Raven said that Joey Maggs was his favorite wrestler and never made it. Like he was like, Joey Maggs, he's like, he should have been something. But I think he attributed it to the fact that he was short and
he was a fire hydrant.
Yeah. And he's like, that guy, he's like, what he basically he said, like I said, he said Joey Maggs was the one guy. He's like, I don't know why that guy never made it.
You know what Maggs would have benefited from? If he just, and tell me if you guys disagree, if he just could have found a tag partner. Because doesn't he seem like he would have been a 90s?
Yeah, I mean,
like with a Z-Man, or you know what I mean, like something like that, like
right, like with a Jim Powers, or like you said, a Z-Man, or maybe even Johnny Gunn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something to a guy that looks similar. They could have came out in those matching tights, and yeah, I think he would have made for a decent tag team wrestler.
I just picture them in peach tights. I don't know why. I'm thinking early 90s pro wrestling, everybody.
How about
here's two tanned baby faces in peach tights.
You mentioned that he made his name Magliano to go to the Mafia with Gilbert. Imagine if he would have been like the tag team partner of Salvatore Sincere in WWE. Yeah. WWF. You know what I mean?
We are the brothers Sincere.
Yeah, there you go. Salvatore and Joey.
And what's
Silvio? Let's call him Silvio.
Sal and Silvio Sincere, the brothers Sincere. We just rebooked shit, made a nice gimmick. I like it. Number 336, real piece of shit.
Unfortunately, the gimmick had to be ended because nobody was paying attention, and they put on their tights, they put SS, and we're like, oh no.
Oof. Suddenly Seymour. All right, number 336. Real piece of shit, Buck Zumhoff.
Yeah, fuck him. We're not even talking about him.
Yes. He here's my description. Disgusting pedophile is a shitty wrestler. ... has been disgracing wrestling.
Cowardice piece of shit. Hall of Shame inductee. Fuck this son of a bitch. I hope he dies. and he's a fucking coward. When they were giving him his goddamn sentence, he tried to run away from the court. I literally thought he was gonna just run away from his fucking problems. Fucking piece of shit. ...
Fuck Buck. Sorry,
ladies and gentlemen, the comments of one Aaron Maxon are not the property of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
In this case,
will not
they
be
are.
held liable. We will
In
not
this
be
case,
held
they are.
liable.
Let Buck Sumoff try to sue me.
He might have to these days.
No, I'm sorry. I don't like any kind of sexual assault against anybody, at all.
I agree.
But when it's your own god,
don't even go into it. Don't. Who's the next number?
Next one is 335 JW Storm. 6'3.5", 267, 3 years pro. Powerful newcomer, has wrestled in a number of federations, has competed in the PWA, PNW, WWF, and WCW areas. One hand grab to throat and slam is his fine finisher. JW Storm, meh.
Was he the music guy? Was he the guy that got into it with police?
Yes.
Yeah, sucked.
And I want to take a break.
Okay. I gotta pee anyway.
Okay. I'll be right back.
That Zoom off shit got me fired up. Ouch.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Be right back. I'm gonna go get something to drink.
All right.
All right, I am back.
All right.
Anything new coming to Walmart lately here?
Not really. It's kind of a drought period.
Right. You guys got a ton of those Jeff Hardy and Goldberg top picks, like all the Walmarts do.
We're just sitting
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's just kind of status quo right now.
I don't get why Walmart got so many of those figures. I can't understand it.
I don't know either. Like, it just, yeah, it's just nothing. The only thing I can't, like, the one thing I want to get, we have a spot for it, and it just won't come in, and I don't know why. I haven't tried ordering it.
What is it?
It's that, you know, that wrestling superstars thing they did with it's like that honky tonk man figure.
Yeah, yeah.
I want that Hulk Hogan one, and I just
the Hollywood one.
Yeah, I just can't get it. Like I've tried. I even tried ordering it. I was like, I'm just gonna go out there and order it. We're not supposed to do that, but nobody will notice a fucking
one figure, right?
One case of a Hulk Hogan figure being ordered, and I haven't got my hands on it.
The only ones I've seen is I've seen Honky Tonk Man Fiend, and recently I saw Flair on a mint card, but I don't really collect them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the next set that came out that's supposed to be out in stores in another month or so with Nash, Hall, and Shawn Michaels in it looks cool as hell, but it's mainly for the accessories. So if I did buy them, I'd probably keep the accessories and sell the figures. You know,
well, I bought the Honky Tonk Man one because anything I can find that's like Honky Tonk Man, I get.
Right.
Because he doesn't have, like, he's not somebody they put a lot of shit out for, you know what I mean?
I think in WWE he has, let's see, Hasbro, a BCA, the LJN, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple of Legends figures.
Yeah.
And that one Retrofest. So maybe he has 6 or 7 figures at the most. Yeah.
And they always look cool because he was cool. He had cool outfits and shit.
That's what I don't. You'd think that would have been a figure they would have remade, made more of.
Well, until
all the outfits.
Yeah, but until he went and actually, started dealing with him, he was always kind of a guy they didn't like, and he didn't like them.
Right. No, I get it. I get it. That's why we don't get Demolition anymore, and anybody that still has a problem with WWE doesn't get many figures made.
Yeah, it's like King Kong Bundy. Okay, Bundy was funny. I don't know if you guys ever watched anything with King Kong Bundy, but he was a funny motherfucker. And Bundy one day was Bundy was talking about, I don't remember who was interviewing him. I don't remember. That's not important. But they were talking to him about why he was never in the WWE. Like, they didn't do a lot with him after he left. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bundy's not even in the WWF Hall of Fame, which is a fucking joke. But he's like, so why? And he goes, I have no idea. He was like, I was talking to Honky Tonk Man, because surprise, they used to be on a lot of shows, like a lot of indie shows together. He's like, I was talking to fucking Honky Tonk Man about that one day, and I was like, man, you are an asshole. You fucking yell at them, you talk shit about them, you do this, you do that, and every year they're begging you to come back. They're begging you to go in the Hall of Fame. He's like, I was a fucking church mouse and did everything I was told. Nothing. Right. He's like, I don't fucking get it. He's like, I do not understand it.
It's because he broke Chad Austin's couch. Let's see, 50. All right, number 334 in the 500 is Ray Candy. 6'4", 297, 17 years pro. Big Ray gets bigger all the time. Formerly known as Kareem Muhammad, but has reverted back to his real name. One of the few men who can match blows with Kamala. Ray Candy.
Is he part of Zambui? Was he in the Zambui? Yeah, the Zambui.
With shit. I don't remember the other guy's name now. I'm blanking.
Got diabetes, though, probably.
Oh, I'm sure. 333 is Steve Lawler. 6'1", 256, 8 years pro, former GAW champion, is despised by Georgia, by Georgia, the whole
The
state.
entire state. Fuck
The
up.
entire thing.
Known as the Brawler for his heinous tactics.
Georgia, all is welcome except you, Steve Lawler.
Teamed often with Nick Busick. Fleshy build, belly's brilliance.
What?
Wait, repeat that?
Fleshy build, belly's brilliance.
Nate heard me say repeat that, was like, the fuck I am.
I don't know what those. I don't know what those words mean together.
Right.
Me neither. Number 332, Baron von Raschke. 6'2", 271, 25 years pro. Veteran German star is still competing. Master of the claw hold, bouts with former AWA champion Vern Gagne in the 60s and 70s are considered classics. And that's all the people need to know.
He is a guy that is like Big John Studd to me, that I understand that people like him and why they liked him, but that guy did absolutely nothing for me.
Me too.
Like, I don't get it. I know
I
it's
like him
probably
better as a manager.
I know it's probably a bygone, and like he was kind of a generation before I started liking it, so I guess maybe. But I just like, even when I go back and watch his old stuff, I'm just like, whatever.
I'm the same way with Killer Kowalski.
Yeah,
you know, like I'm sure like you said, in his time he was over. You know, guys liked working with him, and from all accounts, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, me too.
Especially when they try to like turn him face. Like, I think he turned face in the goddamn Paul Jones feud. It's like, this is bad. I don't like this. Oh, go ahead.
Anything on the Baron, Archie?
I liked him better as a manager. I'll be honest with you. I really didn't enjoy his in-ring stuff because it was, I don't know, a little sloppy all over the place. You know what I mean? So.
331 is Chris Youngblood.
Ooh.
6 foot tall, 235, 6 years pro. Tomahawk Chop Master was brought into the sport by his older brother Mark. Duo is known as the Renegade Warriors. Terrific neckbreaker, has scored many victories.
They were actually not a bad team. I just thought they looked, when they were in WCW, they just looked stupid.
Yeah.
They look like fucking pinatas.
Yeah, they gave him a super over the top Indian look, I guess.
Yeah, and it was neon. They were like neon Indians. It's like, what's going on?
Number 330 is Steve Cox. Do it. 6'2", 240, 4 years pro. Returned to the sport to compete in the GWF. Last seen as partner of Michael Hayes in World Class in 1989. Well-rounded competitor, started career in the original UWF.
Do it to it.
Do it to it, Steve Cox.
Stupidest name ever.
His sister Courtney was great on Friends, though.
And she looks terrible now. All right.
Yes.
Mike Sharp is 329. Iron Mike, 6'2", 271, 18 years pro. Burly Brawler is the son of old-time star Iron Mike Sharp. Leather-covered right forearm was injured, but we have our doubts. Once managed Lou Albano. Here's something I'll give Sharp credit for. A couple things. First, great hand.
Yeah.
Secondly, as much as we all love Owen, you got to credit Mike Sharp for giving Owen the idea for the cast.
Yeah. And if there was a pressing issue, he would help you with it.
With his iron.
With Iron Mike Sharp. Sorry. But no, and he was around forever. Never really heard anybody say anything bad about him. I know he was like he had like OCD and always wanted to be clean or whatever, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I just never heard anybody be like, "Oh, Mike Sharp, fucking dick."
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
And it was also cool when he'd be in built like Philly or Boston or something, because then he'd make his noises and that crowd was smart and they'd be like, back to him or whatever. He was Iron Mike Sharp is a live event wrestler.
Yes.
Like kind of like how they would say about like Tracy Smothers, where you don't really, even though night and day, I'm not comparing Mike Sharp to Tracy Smothers, but I'm just saying like people say you can't appreciate Tracy Smothers until you actually see him live because he's a live event wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's kind of what Mike Sharp was. He's sold big, and you know what I mean. Like he was the guy. He had that training. You don't sell to the front row.
You sell to the bleachers, or you sell to cheap seats.
Yeah, that's why he's going making all the noises and shit.
Number 328 is Frank Lancaster, 6'1", 239, 9 years pro, a veteran of several Southern circuits. Held the world-class tag title with Eric Embry in 86 and Brian Adias in 87, another former 30 white boy. I don't have anything to say about Frank Lancaster, but I do have to say this. Two of the biggest mysteries in wrestling. First, is it Brian Adias or Brian Adidas?
Diaz.
I'm just making the joke because it would say Brian Adias on the Krylon, but then they'd be like, oh, Brian Adidas. The other one that's like that to me is Wahoo McDaniels. Like, because they, you know what I mean? Like they would say, some people would say McDaniel.
I almost said Yahoo. To me, he's Wahoo McDaniel.
Oh no, and that's his name. But you don't see what I'm saying though. Like people would say McDaniels.
I know.
Same with Adidas and Adidas. All right,
after that Run DMC song.
Brian, Brian. No, you gotta Brian, Adidas.
Okay, I'm a little worried. We're talking here, and I'm looking at Facebook as well. And we just mentioned Ray Candy on the countdown, and here he is in my timeline.
Goddamn, he's still alive.
No, Ray Candy is dead.
No, I know that, but somebody posted about him on Facebook. So these damn phones listen to everything we talk about.
Number 327 is Sika, 6'2", 320, 16 years pro. Once ranked among the sport's premier tag team wrestlers, duo with Alpha captured 3 WWF World Tag titles, now seems to be semi-retired, immense power.
That's Samu's dad.
Yes.
It's Samu, and I think who else? Rosie's father too, from 3 Minute Warning.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Samoans.
I'm a wild Samoans fan.
Me too. They were the perfect fit too for the WWF and the WWF as tag champions.
Right, they were those unbeatable monsters that nobody could really get over. Until somebody finally did. But you could have let them hold the titles for years because who's gonna be 2 wild Samoans?
God damn, it was funny when Albano would be like, I
enjoyed them though, and I enjoyed all the Samoan. I enjoy the entire Samoan dynasty. I may poke fun at Roman Reigns at times, but when you get a Samoan in the ring, whether it be Yokozuna, Umaga, Sika, Alpha, they all know how to wrestle. It's just inbred in them before. I think they come out of the womb in a headlock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You go over glossed. I think I spoke wrong because I wanted to say he was Samu's dad. He's not. He is Rosie's father, but guess who else it is?
Well, that's Roman Reigns' father too, because Rosie was Roman's younger brother or older brother.
That's the dad of Roman Reigns.
Yep. Do you guys watch Young Rock on NBC? Well, they did an episode recently where The Rock is watching a WWE pay-per-view, and one of his uncles is on it. And this kid keeps jumping on him, and the kid keeps screaming, "Come on, Rock! Come on, Dwayne, wrestle me!" and he grabs the kid off him and puts him down and goes, "Now listen here, little Roman. One day at WrestleMania, maybe, but not right now." And I found it to be the best, like, hidden little gem at possibly a WrestleMania match down the line between them.
It's going to
You know
happen.
what I mean?
It's going to happen next year.
As soon as they can get him to not be filming a movie and the insurance will waive off on it, yeah.
WrestleMania is in Los Angeles.
Right.
And I just read today that during WrestleMania season next year, he has no movie commitments.
Good. I'll be honest, I want to see it.
I do too. I want Roman to hold the belt, at least the Universal title, until WrestleMania.
Right. You don't got to have them both. And hell, it really don't even got to be for the title, but it makes it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would love it.
I think, to be honest with you, I think that's the whole point of him holding the title as long as he has to that match.
Right.
And that is the money match right now.
And then he beats him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly think that Roman should beat him.
Roman should beat him, and after that, you can have whoever beat Roman, and then you've made another guy. You know,
right.
Well, number 326 in 1991 is Equalizer Zap.
Does he beat him quick though,
No.
or is it a big long match?
I don't think it's a quick match. Because I think the build to it and everything. I mean, I think you have to give people their money's worth.
Because the next night on Raw, he could go out there and be like, "Well, that happened fast and furious."
And then John Cena comes out.
Right. With Vin Diesel as his manager. No, that needs to be at least a 30-minute match, in my opinion. If you're going to give them, you're making us wait. You know.
That's my stupidity.
I agree.
I just thought of a 6-month angle of do this whole thing just to have a stupid ass joke.
Right.
Number 326 is Equalizer Zap. 5'10", 245, 2 years pro, member of the Equalizers tag team.
Well, yeah.
Uses more brutal tactics than his partner Zip. Ring style recalls that of Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys, Mean Spirited. I have no idea.
Wait. Zip and Zap.
Zip and Zap.
That's even better than Skip and what was the body data? Skip and
Zip.
Skip and Zip. Yeah, that's them. Zip and Zap.
So yeah, I don't know who that is, but 325 is a guy that I like. He is actually a member of our Facebook group, and we always give him a shout out when we can for his health. But it's Jerry Gray. 5'11", 238, 11 years pro. Personable star is the current SWF champion in Florida. Started career slowly, but now is becoming main event talent. Can brawl with even the most rugged opponent. Jerry was a great hand in the ring, and he's been a great hand in life because he has fought back his cancer for years.
Yeah, and a hell of a storyteller.
Absolutely, yes.
Like I want him to write a book before he goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's probably talked about it before, but that dude should write a book.
I agree.
Well, Nate, I'm sorry to cut in here. You're never going to guess who Equalizer Zap was.
No. Who is it?
In a million years, you'll never guess.
I am intrigued.
Johnny Grunge.
No shit.
Yep.
I guess now the comparison to Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys
makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't know Johnny Grunge could sound worse.
Right? Ridiculous. Damn. Maybe I never want to use Google again.
Number 324, David Power, 6'2", 300 pounds, 5 years pro. Hard to tell David and his twin brother Larry apart. David has actually spent more time as a solo wrestler than Larry has. David displays more wrestling acumen. The Power Twins.
The Power Twins, motherfuckers. Funny as shit, man.
If you have not had a chance, go listen to John Arezzi's Pro Wrestling Spotlight podcast. They were on his show, his radio show, a bunch back in the early 90s. And they are entertaining as shit.
Fucking hilarious.
Really good. Really good stuff. Number 323, maybe Archie can figure this out for me on Google. Equalizer Zip.
We're going to find it out right now.
5'10", 240, 2 years pro. Member of the Equalizers tag team with his brother Zap. Hails from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Rule breakers have added a third masked member, Zoom, to the team.
Zip, Zap, Zoom.
Really?
Is this a 60s Batman brawl?
Well, apparently, Mike Lane played Equalizer Zap.
Mike Lano? Oh, no, Mike Lane.
Mike Lane,
Zip,
also known
Zap,
as Mike
Zoom.
Williams. Hold on. Also known as Mike Williams. And Austin Storm. He was trained by Austin Storm. And he was also known as the Superstar. So.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Zip, Zap, Zoom.
Zip, Zap,
At least Zap
Zoom.
was better. Dusty Wolf was Zoom. That's who played Zoom, Dusty Wolf.
I don't know why I find that so funny, but
Right? Me too.
he's like, look at me here with these fucking J Brones.
Yeah.
And I'm Zoom.
What are we like?
I love
Rice
his phone
Krispie
service
kids?
now.
Fuck.
I love his phone service now. All the Zoom meetings.
Or a shitty version of the Rice Krispie kids.
They come out, Aaron. They come out dressed like Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and the little helmets with the little chef hats on. I'm Zip. I'm Zap. I'm Zoom.
Fucking hell.
Number 322 is John Michaels. 5'11", 246 years pro. Popular Georgia All-Star mainstay, has a unique nickname known as the Bugman because he's also an exterminator. Former Southern Championship titleist.
How did Vince McMahon not hire him and make him an exterminator?
The Bug Man.
The Bug Man.
It's not even creative.
Right?
It was just his job. Like it was his shoot job. He had commercials where he's like, I'm the Bug Man, John Michaels. And they're like, like he shows up. He shows up to the house.
Didn't you jump to Zoom last week?
He shows up at the house to kill the bugs, and the kid's like, oh my God, we saw him wrestle at the Hardys on Saturday. He wrestled in the Hardys parking lot.
He wrestled guy with a plunger. The plumber.
He wrestled Plum Man.
Oh my God.
321 is Mark Youngblood, 6', 249, 11 years pro. Teams with his younger brother Chris as the Renegade Warriors. Began career as teammate of his older brother Jay, who died in 1985, Native American Indian. Obviously, Jay Youngblood was the best of the family.
Yes, but Tony Schiavone says he was a complete fucking prick. Like, they seriously asked him, who like what wrestlers didn't you like or whatever in the wrestling business, and he's like, I got along with everybody except Jay Youngblood. Fucking asshole. He's like, that guy was an asshole.
Yeah, but they also
he didn't even say that about Bobby. He's gone on record as saying, I don't know why Bobby Heenan had heat with me. I didn't hate Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan hated me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he's just
right. But
Jay
but
Youngblood,
it's not.
asshole.
That's not the only time that I've ever heard of another announcer hating Tony Schiavone. Supposedly, Tony Schiavone is a bit of an asshole. You know what I mean? So I don't know how true it is, but I mean, Mike Tenay said it. Lee Marshall has said it in shoot interviews. So maybe it wasn't that Jay Youngblood was the asshole. Maybe it was just Tony being an asshole.
I don't know, but it's just like I said, I don't know. Jay Youngblood, probably a cool dude, but
right.
It's the only guy I've ever heard Schiavone. Schiavone's made fun of people, but he's the only guy I've ever heard him say was just like, that guy was a prick.
Number 320 is Don Bass. 6'4", 283, 9 years pro. Memphis native, pops up in USWA every so often. Grizzled rule breaker challenged Jerry Lawler for the CWA title several years ago. Increased bulk but still very dangerous. I don't really have anything to say.
I don't know.
I like his brother Ron.
His brother Ron was cool. I didn't like it. I didn't like his brother Ron as a face.
I don't think that's really his brother, Aaron. I was just joking.
I know, but we're just gonna go with it.
319. Ole Anderson. 6'1", 256, 25 years pro. Former Four Horsemen leader is wrestling again. Feuding with Thunderbolt Patterson on Georgia Independence. Teamed with his brother Gene, was among the greatest of the 70s. I know Aaron likes the old curmudgeonly.
I love young Ole Anderson. Fucking Ole Anderson's fantastic. Fucking great. And
I'm an Ole fan.
He's a guy that it's okay that he's a prick. You ever met a dude like that? Like, I don't care if this guy's a prick.
Yeah.
Because he's at least funny.
He's an asshole, but he's my asshole.
And you can how do I want to say this? You can't be a prick and not be funny. Like, if you're a prick and you're funny, that's fine. Because I don't think Ole Anderson is I don't think he's a malicious person in the things that he's saying.
He's just honest. He just doesn't have
honest. He's an honest prick. Like, he doesn't have the capacity to be like, I'm going to hold back because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. He's like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think because I need to tell you exactly what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anybody any good if I just lie. And say,
which is also what made him a successful booker.
Yeah.
Because he was not going to deal with anybody's bullshit.
And he wasn't going to be like, he's not that great, but he's a good guy. Let's keep him around. It was probably like, you're an all right guy, but you fucking suck and you got to go.
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, he's funny. Shit cracks me up. He's a funny guy. And stupid side note, I always thought he had cool boots.
Mm-hmm.
I just boots.
And I'm actually watching a lot of late 70s and early 80s Georgia right now. And the reason I mention that is because I've never seen any of that. I got my hands on some of it, and I've never seen any of it. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces, through YouTube or whatever, but I've never seen like full shows, full programs, like the whole angles play out and everything. You watch that, and you see the greatness of Ole magnified.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Number 318, I think a guy that could have had super potential if he wouldn't have left the world too soon. Gary Albright, 6'3", 310, 6 years pro. Montana native, went on to starring role in Calgary. Sometimes competes in CNWA these days. Very strong but limber for a man his size. Has competed in Japan. I like Gary Albright. I thought he was, for his... That guy could fucking move.
Yeah.
And I think, and you tell me, guys, if you think
he's kind of like a Vader.
Well, I was going to say, tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think that he would have been a great fit in ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
He's kind of like a, I don't want to say, he was kind of like a middle, like if you took like a Vader and a Terry Gordy, and kind of like in the middle of them, like build wise and size, and does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he wasn't as big as Vader. He was a little bigger than Gordy, and kind of similar to it, and perfect for Japan. Like, Japan.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Great.
God damn.
Right.
For him,
he's the perfect guy gene for sure.
Yeah. Like,
without a doubt.
Like he's on the same level as Stan, Dr. Death. That's exactly what they want. And I don't know if he would have ever made it in WWF, but I think he would have he would have been good in ECW, and I think he would have fit in with WCW.
Yeah, I think so too.
Number 317, Dennis Condrey, 6 foot 256, 18 years pro, still competes occasionally on independent scene, most famous for being an original member of the Midnight Express. Teamed with Bobby Eaton and Randy Rose in the Express. what can you say? Dennis Condrey, one of the great tag team wrestlers of all time, and he always looked old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was also a guy that when you look at him, you see him come out and be like, oh, this guy's not going to be any good. And then he's just fucking fantastic.
Right. He almost looked like a jobber enhancement talent.
Mm-hmm.
But then him and Bobby would light it up in the ring and he'd be like, oh, okay.
It's like surprise, surprise, surprise.
I always found it interesting. I mean, I liked him and Bobby as the Midnight Express, but of course I like Bobby and Stan better. And I always found it interesting that when he joined up with the other guy, with the other member, and
Randy
they
Rose.
went with Randy Rose, and they went with Paul Heyman to make the original Midnight Express. Like, he came off as a bigger asshole than he was with Cornette.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you turned on the guy who made you, you did all this, you did all that, and now you're bringing in this other guy, and you're like, no, we were the original. No, you're not. You know, you are, yes, but the other guy, Randy Rose, had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of did, but Dennis Condrey and they're not my favorite tag team of all time, okay? But Dennis Condrey, Bobby Heenan, Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton, and Jim Cornette is the perfect group.
It's a good mixture. Yeah.
Like, here's Bobby Eaton, mumble mouth. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm just saying he's fucking hillbilly from Alabama, you know, a redneck from Alabama. You know what I mean? That's just how he talked. And Dennis Condrey, not known for being this great fucking speaker or whatever. So it's like these two guys that can't talk but are super fucking athletes got paired with this guy that is not an athlete at all that can talk a fucking mile a minute. It's like these guys are fucking made for each other.
Yep.
And Bill Watts is a fucking genius for seeing it and making it fucking happen. And
fuck Jim Herd for ending it.
I don't think there's a better, I say pairing, but there's three of them, so I don't know what you call that.
A tandem.
Tandem. I don't think there's a better trio or tandem of whatever you want to call it, of just perfection as those guys.
I agree.
Like Brett and Neidhart and Jimmy together were great, you know, but Neidhart could talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was just like three guys that just complemented each other perfectly.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion. And when they put Stan in there, Stan was cool too, but Stan could talk. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It was just different. But those three guys together was just like a perfect combination.
It was like chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah.
Number 316, Johnny Rods, 5'10", 234, 17 years pro. Most famous for his WWF TV appearances, but a great wrestler. Also successful trainer. Currently holds the Northeast Championship. Uses ropes very well.
What was he? Was it a Boudadine or what? What was he called?
No, Sullivan had the Boudadine. He was... Damn it.
Let me look it up real quick because it's funny. The name's not funny, but the story of it's funny. And you can clip this off.
Why am I blanking on it?
I just blanked on it too.
Javarook, yes.
Javarook. And Roddy Piper in Los Angeles wound up managing Javarook. And you know how? Yeah, he wound up managing Javarook?
Yes. I know the story, but I'm going to let Aaron tell it.
He wrestled him twice on TV and got his ass beat 2 times in a row. And then the next week, Piper comes out with Javarook, and the announcer's like, "What are you doing with this guy?" And he's like, "He kicked my ass like 2 weeks in a row. I'm with him now." I was like, I'd rather be managing this guy than fighting him. Screw
the
that.
perfect example of if you can't beat him, join him.
Join him.
Yep.
But Johnny Rods was a great hand.
Yes. Trained everybody, not everybody, trained a shitload of people.
Mm-hmm.
And just was a guy that was smart enough. He was one of those guys, and I say this all the time. He was smart enough to know this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to be. And I'm just going to be a good fucking citizen, do my job, and I'll be set.
Yep.
Don't get bigger than what you can get.
And he always was.
Yep.
Number 315, King.
Hall of Famer for it.
Yep. King Kalua is number 315. Hawaiian Star, let's see, 5'10", 237, 7 years pro. Hawaiian Star now competes mainly on the East Coast, currently in UIW after wrestling for NWF, IWCCW, TWA, and AWA. Very ring-wise, a lot of savvy for a young man. I don't know if it's still there or not. I'd have to go look, because does the Peacock version of WWE Network still have the hidden gems?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
It doesn't.
Because one of the great missed opportunities then is actually at one point when WWE Network was still WWE Network and not the Peacock Network, they had the pilot episode of ECW from 92, I think. Anyway, whatever it was. And Chad and I were talking about doing like a bonus episode of Reliving the Extreme on it. And King Kalua was on the pilot episode of ECW. And Chad, I'd have to go back and look at what we discussed text message wise, but he had all kind of shit to say about Kalua. And now it's a missed opportunity because I don't know if it's there now. But yeah, he was definitely at the time on the East Coast, he was one of those guys that was kind of figured in like Sandman and JT Smith and all that. But once ECW got rolling, he just wasn't there. But yeah, he was on the pilot episode or the pilot edition of ECW.
There's a great Steve Corino story, if you can find it on YouTube, about him and some other guy. I don't remember. It might have been like Ace Darling or something. And King Kalua was doing the Doink gimmick, and Iron Sheik was at this show, and it was like at this Jewish like synagogue type thing or whatever, like this Jewish youth center or whatever. And like, I'm not gonna say the words that the Iron Sheik said, but the Iron Sheik basically cut a promo in the backstage area that got beamed like on a screen, and was like making like Jewish stereotypical and racial like slur, like the Jews control the media and all this stuff. And like he's cutting this promo in front of all these Jewish kids and everything. And Steve Corino was like, me and this, like, I want to say he said it was Ace Darling, I don't know, but he's like, me and this guy like are sitting there like, this is the most racist shit we've ever heard in our lives. And he's like, and there's just Doink the Clown, like this guy just dressed like Doink the Clown, just maniacally laughing on a bench.
Oh my god!
like oh my god! Like he's like, we were just hands in head, like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. And there's King Kalua dressed as Doink, just laughing his fucking ass off. And the Sheik going, down with the juice.
Bubba.
Oh
and
my
like,
god!
He's like, Sheik didn't even mean anything. He was just getting heat. Like, that's his job. Oh my god. It's like a fundraiser.
All right, we're going to do three more, and then we're signing off.
All right.
314 is Bart Batten. 5'10", 29, 9 years pro, member of the famous Batten twins with brother Brad, sensational aerial specialist who isn't afraid to mix it up. Bart and Brad are former WWC tag team champions.
Yeah, they were big in Puerto Rico.
And they were kind of big in Texas, too.
They were, and they worked a little bit. They were in that like early set of Smoky Mountain, where he wasn't really, Cornette really wasn't doing angles. He was just kind of doing shows Does you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I think actually didn't they go by like the American Press or something like that?
Something like that. But they were two American guys that got the Puerto Rico bug. That's where they're I don't want to say that's where the only place they were over, but that's where they did most of their shit.
They were willing to bleed buckets.
Yeah,
just say what it is.
They're all right. I can't say anything bad about them, but
you got anything, Archie, on Battens?
No, I don't know enough about them to even say anything.
Number 313 is a guy I won't have anything on. Jeff Collette.
Never heard of him.
It's the best that man can get.
He gets a clean shave every time.
I know it's not Gillette, but I thought you said, do you say Gillette or Colette?
Colette.
Okay, sorry. But it's so funny.
6'1", 215, 1-year pro. Rookie has taken Virginia by storm. Teamed with Stan Lane. Damn. Won the VWA tag team title. Jim Cornette raves about youngsters' potential. A major league talent. Apparently not. Apparently Jimmy was wrong on that one, apparently.
Go ahead and fucking email at Corny Drive-Thru and tell us what you think of fucking. Hey, remember Jim Gillette?
Jeff Collette.
Jeff Collette.
Now, if we email him and ask him about Jim Gillette, who the fuck is that?
All right,
Jeff Collette.
Do one more because I don't know nothing about Colette.
Yes, our last one today will be 312. Humongous. 6'4", 267, 1-year pro. It says another one. A previous hockey mask Humongous was Sid Vicious.
Oh, is this guy in Canada?
This one
really is an epidemic.
This one is a fan favorite. Pulled off an upset by beating USWA Texas champ Tom Pritchard in August. So post Sid, who would this Humongous have been?
Well, Sid was Lord Humongous. So
he was Lord Humongous, but then he was also just Humongous in Memphis.
Was he? Okay.
Oh, humongous. He was humongous in Memphis.
He was just humongous.
Just humongous.
To be more specific. But no, I don't know. I don't know who this one would have been then. I'd have to.
What year was it? Here, I'll Google it real quick. That'll
91,
be the end of the show.
91, and it's post Sid. It's not Sid Vicious.
If Jerry Lawler never said this line, I'm sad that he didn't. Every time that guy walked in the locker room, he should have been like, "Oh, there's a humongous among us."
Possibly a fungus, even.
You don't wash his gear.
Fungus among us.
Let's see. Okay, I think we have it. Doesn't say who it is. It's just saying what his match is. Yeah, it's mainly saying that it was Sid, and then apparently John King wrestled as Lord Humongous in 1985 in Texas All-Star Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. There was a Humongous Mid-South too, I believe.
There's a Humongous everywhere.
Yeah.
Mad Max brew all kinds of gimmicks.
Oh, they had, mid-80s? Nope. Yeah, nothing's coming up.
All right.
It's Dink.
Yeah, it was definitely Dink. I agree.
It was definitely Dink.
I liked how one of the searches that came back, because I put who was the wrestler known as Humongous in 1991, and one of them came back for Andre the Giant. I mean, like...
He was known as Humongous. Stupendous.
Yeah. Maybe it was Andre. Like, he showed up and he's like, "Oh, boss, I need work." And Lawler's like, "Yeah, you'll never get over as Andre the Giant in this town, buddy.
I body slammed you in 19.
I body slammed you."
Pissed off the NWA.
He didn't piss off the NWA. He pissed off Vince Sr.
Oh, no, that's where I got the story wrong. It went around the NWA meeting.
No, it was. Do you know this story, Archie?
No, go ahead, tell it.
Andre, and it might be spotty on the story, but basically Andre went to Memphis and Lawler beat him, but Lawler beat him by count out.
Okay.
And it wound up on the cover of a wrestling magazine that says the night the Memphis Midget beat the Giant. Okay.
That's funny.
And Vince Sr. walked into the NWA convention, held up the magazine because Vince Sr. was the booking agent of Andre. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like if you wanted to book Andre, you went through Vince Sr. Vince Sr. would map out Andre's entire year. So Vince Sr. walked into the NWA convention in Vegas or wherever it was at, held up the magazine and said, "Who wants to tell me is fucking responsible for this?" Because Andre was not supposed to be able to be beaten. And Lawler said he fucking melted into the wall. Like, oh my God, Vince Sr.'s fucking pissed. Terry Funk was like, "Oh, that's Jerry Lawler. That's Jerry Lawler. He's right over there. Look at him, Jerry Lawler."
The funny part is I could see Terry doing that. That's the bad part of it all.
Well, guys, that is where we are going to stop for this week. We got to 312. Next week, we will start at 311 as we roll through the inaugural Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500. And since I have literally the first 10 years of the list, I think we're just going to do one of these a year.
I like it.
And run through the 500. But anyway, that being said, any parting words this week, guys, on the Weekend Wrestling Podcast?
It's very optimistic of you that we're all still going to be around that long. So
yeah, I mean, me with the diabetes.
Archie with the high blood pressure.
Archie with his recent health problems. Aaron with possibly a million undiagnosed problems because he won't go to the doctor.
And according to our president, UFOs now exist, so who knows what's going to happen to us in the next year or so. So, you know.
Could all get probed.
Yeah.
Hopefully they buy us dinner first.
So
does that, at least lower gas prices.
Does that mean
something about gas prices? Sorry, I had my voice.
You became the church lady from Dana Carvey was the church.
Gas prices. No, people are talking about gas prices. All right, I know gas is high.
Aaron's like dinner.
I know gas is high. Okay, but I try to keep things like in perspective, kind of like not get upset about shit.
Right.
So I'm just glad that my car runs on gasoline and doesn't run on printer ink.
There's a car that runs on printer ink?
Look at how much printer ink, like a printer cartridge costs. It costs like $27 fucking dollars, and there's like that much ink in it. Like imagine if you had to have a gallon of that in your car.
Yeah, but wait a minute though. If there was a car that ran on printer ink, they might make it that one cartridge to get you a full tank. So for $26, that's not bad, Aaron.
Stop
overthinking it. You might have just invented the best thing ever. It's the Hewlett-Packard car, the HP.
Take that, Elon Musk.
Right.
Who looks like Elon Musk murdered. He looks like a guy murdered Elon Musk and is now wearing
a skin. Yeah.
Elon Musk's face as a mask.
But he also has one of my favorite tweets of all time.
Which is?
He said, "My name is short for elongated muskrat."
No, I like the guy. I like him. I think he's funny.
Oh, I do too.
And he's very smart.
Obviously.
He looks like he's wearing a skin mask.
Him and the guy that owned Amazon, Jeff Bezos, both look like villains in like a James Bond film. To me, like one day they're just going to be like on a skull island, going, "Hello, Mr. Bond."
A cat.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see the meme? Did you ever see the meme I posted in the Motley Soup about Bezos?
Probably.
It's a picture of Bezos in honestly probably the mid or late 90s, and he's still got hair, and he's in like a denim shirt and denim pants, and it said Jeff Bezos looks like a villain that Buffy would have to beat mid-season.
Right. Yes, I did see it. That one, and the meme that says Jeff Bezos, the only man who got divorced and is still the richest man in the world. He had enough money to pay his wife off and get her to go away. Is two of my favorites. So yeah. All right.
Off there. Sorry.
Those were our closing.
Now Elon or Jeff, if you want to invest in the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, we didn't mean anything by any of that.
Don't be afraid to do so.
That being said, guys, thank you for joining me this week. And everybody, we will continue running down the inaugural Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 next week. And the great thing is, and this is a spoiler alert, the first name we're going to talk about next week, Fabulous Lance.
Ooh. One of my favorites.
There you go.
Fabulous Lance.
Thank you for joining us, everybody, this week on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And we'll see you next week as we continue to run through the inaugural Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500.
I don't even know it. There you go, Matt.
Nate,